Hi, thanks to the many viewers who've sent this one in to me. We've got wireless electric road charging, and this is nothing new. Companies have been developing these for many years now, and I've even said in some previous videos that, yeah, this technology works, but no, it's not going to be viable on a mass scale to build into roads on like a mass scale, and everyone's going to have a wireless electric car. We can have much smaller battery packs, and your car will, as you drive around, it'll recharge itself. And yeah, technically it's possible, but just like solar roads, yeah, nah, it's not going to work. So AP News here. New technology installed beneath Detroit street can charge electric vehicles as they drive. They've installed what's billed as the nation's first wireless charging public roadway for electric vehicles beneath a street just west of downtown Detroit. We'll look on the map in a minute. Copper inductive charging coils allow vehicles equipped with receivers to charge up their batteries while driving, idling, or parking above the coils. So they've installed a quarter-mile segment on 14th Street, but used to perfect the technology ahead of making it available to the public within a few years, according to the Michigan Department of Transportation. And there's actually a lot of funding behind this from the US Department of Transport. The DOT, redefining green transportation. New federal bill boosts wireless EV charging programs. The new law would create a dedicated grant program in the US Department of Transportation. Funding for wireless EV charger projects. This includes $250 million in grants for wireless EV charging initiatives such as roads, parking lots, bus routes, airports, as well as coastal and inland ports. The wireless EV charging bill is rooted in the Michigan Department of Transportation's MDOT pilot program, the pioneering project, blah, blah. So have they already spent $250 million, or it's available or whatever, but it's a lot of coin. So anyway, here's the street here. Unfortunately, there's no commentary, but there you go. There's the charger box over there. They've got a van, which is equipped with this. Crews have installed its build is the nation's first wireless charging public roadway. A street, people are going to cross. Don't hit them. I'm Ellie, the EV. The road charges me while I drive.
In November of 2021, Governor Whitmer announced an exciting new initiative for the first public electrified roadway in North America. And today we are here to celebrate this big and important
celebration.
occasion.
I'm sure Electreon are really celebrating milking that $250 million cash cow. They didn't get all of that, admittedly. Look, so there's the robust connector.
It'll be revolutionary for electrifying
revolutionary
vehicles and really being able to get the benefit to the max.
Well, you want the benefit to the max. You don't want a half-assed benefit. You want benefit to the max.
We're going to use this as a springboard to learn and understand how things work.
Fair enough.
But ultimately, how can we scale this up? How can this eventually be something that we use across the state of Michigan and the United States?
Nah, sorry, dude. I fully support testing this sort of stuff, but you don't have to test it on complete strips of road. So here's the actual coil that they got installed from this Electreon company. There are other companies that make these wireless charging solutions. They aren't the only one. And yes, they do work. Yes, they're going to have quite a few niche applications, I think, in various niche locations, but installing them everywhere on all the roads, yeah, nah, it's not going to be practical for a multitude of reasons. You can probably already guess. So we'll look at their website in a minute. They do claim they're easy to install, and they can install up to like a mile or something in one night or something like that. They're going to have these automated machines that dig up the asphalt, and they, just lay them down and, recover it on top. Bob's your uncle. Okay, it's going to be easy, a lot easier than solar roadways, I think, but still not quite there. Because look, I mean, this is a concrete base with the asphalt on top, right? And what's this slot over here? You got to cut a slot in the middle of the road for the cables. I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as it looks there. So anyway, if you know the exact details on that, leave it in the comments down below. But yeah, it's easier than solar roadways. There's the money shot on the connector there. So anyway, there's lots of other articles on it. There you go. They've got the control box over here. So I'd be curious to know if there's any like electronics installed in this box underground, because if so, that's going to lead to reliability issues, for example. And yeah, or whether or not it's all in that control box over there. And then you've got the copper losses running over, because remember, these are quite high powered things. So you're going to get substantial copper losses just in the conduction over to the coil itself, not to mention the efficiency in the coil, because these are resonant coil converters. We'll have a look at the technical details in a minute. I got some great info on that, actually. Range, availability, and charging infrastructure and speed to charge alongside affordability, some of the biggest hurdles for Americans to purchase EVs. Those challenges are resulting in the increase in pace of EV sales slowing this year. Yeah, I heard they did actually slow this year. Inflation much? Automakers, as a result, have delayed EV launches, postponed production dates, and yeah, so they're trying to, of course, the vast bulk of the cost of EVs is in the battery pack, and that's not really coming down anytime soon. And no, don't bet on a revolutionary order of magnitude decrease in cost or order of magnitude increase in battery efficiency. It's just not going to happen. So I guess what they're proposing with these wireless road systems is like a half-assed approach to trying to trade off the size of the battery pack required. Of course, you've got to have some battery pack in there, otherwise you can't drive on non-electric roads. But, you know, you don't want it so big that you get your, I'm talking Yankee miles here, you know, you don't want your 300 or 500 mile range or something like that. But you don't want it so small that you can only get like 10 miles range when you're like off the electrified roads and stuff like that. So it's going to be this, like, they're trying to do this half-assed trade-off between minimizing the cost and then putting the cost into electrifying the road so that the cost of the EVs can come down and convenience as well. So you know, a lot of people can't charge at home. Simply don't buy an EV if you can't charge it at home. Pro tip. And you've got the charging infrastructure, of course, the fast charging, whether or not regular petrol or gas for you Yanks, gas stations will have like EV chargers. They're always full or they're always broken down, and they take longer to charge than filling up your regular petrol tank here in Australia, or gas tank, which takes like, you know, a couple of minutes. I've timed it once, drove into the petrol station, got out, filled it up, and went and paid and got out of there in like 2 minutes or something. Like, so quick. Anyway, so that's all a big trade-off there. And that reminds me of a fellow YouTuber who did a video calling electric buses a scam. And then when, after I did a rebuttal video to that, because I've done a video on visiting an electric bus depot and take a look at electric buses. I'll link that in down below. And they're quite viable. And yes, an update on that. They are they've expanded their fleet and it's working great, and they've invited me back and everything. Anyway, in a follow-up video, I had to admit, oh yeah, electric buses are viable, but you know, it's better if you have like a much smaller battery pack in there and you have mostly overhead trolley, install all the overhead wires on all the streets, and then you have like this half-assed solution of, you know, mostly trolley wire overhead use. But then if you have to go off the routes and stuff, then yeah, you can use your battery pack. So And they're trying to do the same thing here with electric cars on a consumer, you know, mass consumer street level scale. And yeah, it's going to be the same half and half pizza failure. No pineapple either. And there's an older article here from 2021 here. Once again, Electreon, wireless EV charging pioneer Electreon receives UN approval to integrate its technology with all vehicles and transport passengers while charging wirelessly. Yeah, really? See, here's one of the major problems is that you've got a private company here, in fact, but they're not the only one. There are multiple private companies trying to get the lucrative cash cow, you know, $250 million piece of the pie. That's just the starter. That's just the appetizer of electrifying all of these roads. And so you've got a private company technology that you have to build into your public infrastructure. What happens when that company goes tits up? What happens to the systems? And they come a gutser. No good anymore. They break down. They don't work. They can't be maintained. All your investment is just useless because you've bet the farm on this one company. Where are the standards? Where's the open source in? Nah. Oh, it's an editor's pick in Forbes. Wireless electric charging, they may be advancing. Yeah, they're going to advance and then they'll just spin off into a tiny little niche and they'll never be used. You will never see these on your public roads. Anyway, let's take a look at where they are going to install this. So this is Detroit, okay? This is downtown Detroit here. I've never been to Detroit, but hi to all my viewers in Detroit. In fact, if you're in Detroit, take a visit to the 14th Street here, between Dowsall and Marianne Tett Street, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They've got a strip here of road, and they've electrified this. And, well, the first thing to look at is, okay, they've done this section of road. Okay, it's a test system. Look, I fully support testing this sort of stuff, but I don't think you need to test it on, like, large, strips of road, because it's never really going to be used on large strips of road. This sort of technology is more ideal for something like a taxi rank, for example. You could have EV taxis. Instead of charging them up, they're sitting at the taxi rank for a certain amount of time. You could have like a short strip of taxi rank, but to have these things like just as people drive over them, like, yeah, they want to install them on main routes first and then minor routes and but it's just going to be this half-assed trade-off that nobody is going to want to be caught short. It's the chicken and egg thing, right? If you're buying an EV, you don't want to, until they've installed and electrified all these roads. No, you want that big-ass battery pack. You want that 300-mile range or whatever it is, right? You don't want the 30-mile range jobby and then you're caught short every single day because you had to take an alternative route where there's no, even if they've got some infrastructure on all the major roads, if it's a traffic accident, you've got to go off and you're stuck in peak hour traffic and you've only got your 30-mile range on your EV, you're going to come a gutser. So yeah, it's just imagine trying to electrify all of, even a substantial number of roads to make it practical for people to make the decision to buy a lower battery pack, and for the manufacturers to produce a lower battery pack car using proprietary technology from, some third-party company that might go tits up. It's never going to happen. It's fantasy land.
Notwithstanding Mr. Mellon's input, the next question for us is where to build our factory.
How about Fantasyland?
Anyway, here it is. They want to install it on this, well, they have installed it on this strip here, and you can see this build-in here in some of the videos and stuff. So this is the street they've installed it along, perfectly fine as a test thing. But no, I would rather see this, like go for broke, right? Tee up with a taxi company, for example. Are there any EV taxi companies in Detroit or any other city in the US, right? And fund them to install these systems on their existing EVs and see if they can, and then install it in just a strip in a EV, like a taxi rank at an airport that's, highly used, something like that. And just a strip of road here, what does it do? And you've got one van that you've equipped, and it's not showing you any practical system scenario. You can show him that the technology works, and the technology does work. It's a resonant coil system. It's all proven technology. It absolutely does work. There's questions about the efficiency and stuff like that, but and when you drive over at a speed and stuff like that. Oh, look, they got some hire bikes here. Are they electric bikes? I can't make that out. Leave it in the comments down below. Anyway, there you go. So yeah, they've installed it on this strip here, and yeah, good on them. They've, 250 million Yankee bucks pilot program, not just for this strip, but that's like a whole, all sorts of people are milking that cash cow, let me tell you. But so right off the bat, you've got problems with the chicken and egg solution, obviously, and manufacturers have to sell the lower price cars with the smaller battery packs, but will people buy them without having an extensive network of these systems already installed? And then the second problem is tying your public infrastructure and and the automotive manufacturers to tie these things in to a private company who like controls the technology for all this sort of stuff. And I don't think they're going to be interoperable. So if the government or local council pay to install this infrastructure in the roads, can, like, if that company goes bust, can another company start using it? Like, it's just, yeah, nah. And then you've got the efficiency of a resonant charging system like this, especially when you're driving over it and you're not just sitting there. These things can be, you can live with the efficiency losses in these resonant coil systems. They're actually quite reasonable, but in a stationary thing, but when you're driving over them and they're switching off and on really quickly, you've got problems there. Then you've got problems with the electromagnetic radiation as well, because like these things are really high power resonant coil systems. And sure, they're resonant coil. Sure, most of the energy's go into the coil in top of the car, but then you've got like all the other electronics in the car and the people as well, and their devices that they have in the car. If you've got this massive amount of electromagnetic energy, sure, they can, they've got safety systems to switch off and all that sort of stuff, but like, yeah, that there's potential problems there too. And then you've got the reliability of the electronics that go into all this. Like I said, if there's electronics in the road there, that could be troublesome. You've got electronics in the box there. If you're an EV owner like I am, you might be used to like turning up to an EV charger that's non-functional, for example, for various reasons. And yeah, I don't think these systems are going to be any more reliable than your like roadside, or your fast charging networks. So anyway, let's have a look at the Electreon. We're on their webpage here, wireless charging. Oh, they've got the bus there. Yeah, good luck with that. I've visited Electric Bus Depot, and sure, this is a way, the bus comes in at night after it's a daily thing, and it could just drive on top of the charging pad, right? You might think that's great, but I've actually been on an electric bus, and I've driven it, not me, but I was sitting there while they were driving it into the depot, and then I just plugged the thing in. It takes like, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds to plug the thing in. It's pretty easy. And then you get the utmost in energy efficiency in transfer in terms of speed. And you don't want to piss energy away, do you? That's bad for the environment. So you just plug it in. You don't need a wireless charging pad. But as I said, there could be niche applications. The classic one I think of would be like a taxi rank at an airport, for example. Anyway, let's play this video, shall we?
Electreon and its unique technology developed in order to change the future of transportation.
Unique. There's other companies that do it.
The change starts today. Electreon Smart Road quickly and efficiently transforms our public infrastructure into a source of advanced energy. Public transportation vehicles will not require any refueling or charging at any time whatsoever. So, what does Electreon
no additional charging required.
Electric vehicles will receive continuous power while the vehicle is being driven directly from the infrastructure embedded under the asphalt road.
It's possible it works.
Instead of carrying the heavy and expensive battery with a limited driving range and a short lifetime. With Electreon's groundbreaking technology, one can simply travel non-stop.
Non-stop.
Our city's landscape will change dramatically. No more gas stations, nor cumbersome battery charging stations.
No more battery charging stations at all.
As the number of vehicles traveling on the smart road increases, air pollution around us will decrease drastically. Electreon's innovative and sophisticated technology is extremely efficient and very affordable. The upgrading of a mile of an asphalt road will only require the embedding of a narrow copper coil, which will be connected to the electricity grid. And that's it. We completed another smart and green road in just a few days. The upgrading of vehicles is also very simple. We install a receiver at the bottom of the vehicle and we are ready to go.
I'm sorry, but there's so many different types of EVs out there. You're not just going to whack this on the bottom of an EV. It needs it needs bolt-in points, and then it needs compatibility with the EV in some way. How do you get the wiring infrastructure into the car? It's not as easy as just going, oh, we've got just a universal solution. You just put it under there, boom, you just drive in your EV, and 10 minutes later they've installed it. It's complete and utter bullshit. No, there's no way that is possible.
Electreon's plan is underway. We are moving fast on the road to turning entire cities into electric and green cities. After we successfully complete the demos, we are embarking on pilot projects all over the world together with our international partners. we shall start electrifying main routes for public transportation. The next stage will enable us to continue the upgrading of the main roads of cities. And from there, we shall open and service distribution vehicles, sharing vehicles, and finally, autonomous vehicles. In order to ensure maximum flexibility, the vehicles will also be able to travel on non-electrified routes.
Yeah, once again, it's a trade-off of the battery pack.
The future of transportation is already here. The technology exists and works successfully, changing the reality as we know it. You are invited to join us and follow the pilots and the first deployment on Electreon's website.
We will follow this on the EEVblog here to see in 5 years' time. I betcha I'm coming back and nothing's happened. Nothing at all has happened because people realize there's just the chicken and egg problem alone. Nobody's going to buy a small ass EV. You can't just retrofit it like it's nothing to an EV. There's going to be all sorts of, you can't just install it under any EV willy-nilly. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Anyway, I'll link in to this. If you want a failure analysis of wireless EVs. This is just a failure analysis, okay? Failure modes and effects analysis of wireless and extreme fast charging. And this is from the US Department of Transportation themselves, the ones who are funding the $250 million pilot program for testing these things. So I'll link it in here. And this is incredible. Wow, I cannot go through all of this. I am sorry. Here is how it's typically going to work. This is not specific to this particular manufacturer's one. This is just more in general. And you've got the two resonant coils here. You've got the compensation network inside the car here. You've got the power electronics. But yeah, how do you integrate the output of this into the, just run a cable up and bodge it in to the existing charge outlet on the side of the EV? What do you come on. And if you think the automotive manufacturers are going to build a proprietary system like this into their car, then I've got a bridge to sell you. Links Australia and New Zealand. It's the classic XKCD, how standards proliferate. There are 14 competing standards. 14? Ridiculous. We need to develop the universal standard that covers everyone's use case. Yeah! Situation. There are now 15 competing standards. It's exactly what's going to happen here. Yeah, so I'm wondering what, if any, compensation network and power electronics is embedded under the road there, and how much of it is in that grid interface box over there. Don't know. And I'm sure there's lots of because you have to add a ton of safety and automated features to this as well. So it's going to be like a highly complicated type thing. But sure, it's possible. And these are relatively easy to install because bread and butter stuff for road infrastructure is installing the sensors, the embedded coil sensors for the traffic lights. When you drive up to the traffic light, it detects that there's a car there. It's got a coil in there that detects your, the metal in your car as you drive over the thing. And these are embedded in practically every automated traffic light. So it's a similar sort of thing here. So it's not on the scale as solar roadways. So yeah, I don't doubt that they can install these relatively simply, but just on the mass scale of all the roads, yeah, nah. Then they've got the different compensation techniques, LCC series compensation and LCC compensation. And this is just great. So I'll link this down below and yeah, nerd out. Power factor correction, topologies, and they go down to the circuit level, and then wireless charging pads and different topologies and things like that. Now, here's the health and safety thing due to failure to control EMF emissions. Now, I'm sure this technology has lots of safety built in, and if it's not absolutely, it shuts off absolutely instantly the second that, the coil's not resonating with it and all that sort of jazz. But then how much are you exposed to? How much is your other electronics in your car exposed to? How much is other personal electronics you've got in your car exposed to? Anyway, so they've got flux density in micro Teslas over here versus the general public exposure limit, and then occupational exposure limit versus frequency. I think these operate at about 80 kilohertz. I haven't double checked that, something like that. So they go into the air gap stuff and the regions of, the magnetic fields, and they go into everything. Look, in direction of flux, unipolar receiver and transmitter. It's It's terrific stuff. But just be aware that there are safety and other interference, EMC, EMI, interference problems, because you don't want to, like, how much electronics? Hundreds of microcontrollers inside the modern automobile. It's just nuts. So here's the various standards. That's all to do with all this sort of jazz, right? But the interesting thing, like, they've got all these subsystem components, and they've got FMEA analysis and stuff like that for, things likely to occur with all this, and light duty static wireless charging and all the subsystems. This is nuts. And they've just got more and more and more and more. I can't. This is incredible. Thank you, Department of Transportation. There's where some of your $250 million has gone, I'm sure. And they even go into course selection, and anyway, this is nuts. But anyway, the interesting thing here are their worksheets here, okay? And these are causes of failure modes, okay? So they've got all the failure mode like the likelihood of all these different failure modes for all these different systems, the failure mode consequences, okay? I just wanted to show you this, right? This is just like the common mode choke, right? So they've got this for the common mode choke. Okay, for the Y-class capacitors inside this thing. No reefers. You don't want reefer madness in your roads, although it might smell nice. Shielding for the EMI filters. And they've really gone to town on, like, filter capacitors, the rectifier modules, the DC link capacitors, the heat sinks, the boost inductors, the IGBT power modules. And these are all of the likelihood of all these system component failures. Sure, you're going to get the same sort of thing in your like roadside fast charger, for example. That's why a lot of these are out of commission all the time. It's not just vandalism. They always seem to have something wrong with them, right? And there's all sorts of, they're complicated beasts. And these wireless charging systems are no different. Really. And then what happens? You've got to fails, you've got to dig up the road now. Okay, great. But sure enough, a lot of this might apply to the box on the side of the road, and they might be, and then you've got the couplers, and then you've got the lit wire in the receiver pad for an object detection system. Because, you've got to detect, people walking over the thing. You don't want to go over it with your steel cap boots and it turns on. Wireless communication networks, and then the MOSFETs as well, the cooling units, the I just wanted to show you this. They've gone to town. They make this look all, Willy Wonka chocolate factory, Oompa Loompa land kind of fantastic technology. But like, you want to install these on every single road? You want to dig up and install this along strip of every single road? It's just not practical. This is just not going to happen on any mass scale anywhere. I can see it being a niche thing, totally. Okay, if you want to retrofit your fleet of taxis, or maybe your fleet of the delivery trucks, or, something like that. Amazon might, because Amazon have ordered a whole bunch of EV trucks, haven't they? Maybe you could retrofit those, but even then, like, they don't stop at specific, they just go to random houses everywhere, so it's absolutely no use. So really it's only back of base, but then you can just plug it in, and plug in is going to always be superior to the efficiency and charge rates of any resonant wireless system like this. And buses, like, I've been on electric buses, I've looked at their infrastructure, and it works. It's fine. And maybe at a few bus stops somewhere you could supplement, and possibly that is certainly possible. But to have these on consumer cars, and like, we're going to lay down all these strips of motor in every lane, like, maybe you have a special EV charging lane. If you've got an EV, you can be, oh, look, I'm special, I'm in my EV. Screw you, you polluting bastard. But that's just going to cause resentment on the road, and it's going to increase traffic congestion. And it's just, no, it's not going to work. And then you have the manufacturers of the cars. They're not going to make smaller. They're trying to make bigger battery packs because that's what the people want. Because range anxiety is a real thing for new EV owners. I've got an EV, but I charge mine at home from excess solar. So effectively, I've got a solar-powered EV. It's almost 100% excess solar-powered from my own residential solar panel system on my roof. But I've got the lifestyle to support that. But if you don't have the lifestyle where you can, use and charge an EV, and in a practical scenario, they're just not suitable. Just don't even think about buying one. And trying to force it on people as some sort of green thing, yeah, nah, let's not get into that. But go ahead, leave it all in your thoughts and comments down below. But yeah, no, wireless electric car charging roads are not going to be a thing. I guarantee it. But hey, prove me wrong. If you think I'm wrong, leave it in the comments down below. But yeah, nah, my official prediction is it's not going to be a thing. It's going to die in the arse, and it'll have a few niche scenarios, might be useful, but nah. Anyway, catch you next time.